We're in the pocket and it's dirty. As that music played, I wondered, isn't it a good thing they can't see us dancing to the timer music? I don't think
I
people would.
know.
I don't think that'd be good.
I know. I tell you what, I could use that timer. I could use that music as my alarm clock in the morning. I mean, that gets me so ready to go. Just hearing that, it's almost like the Fox intro, like the pregame show music. It's like I start kind of feeling it, and my head starts moving, and yeah, it's fantastic.
I got to tell you, I was. By the way, folks, welcome into this week at the Dirty Pocket. I am Stacy Bauman, co-hosting with the Scout Daniel Kelly of Sports Illustrated USA Today, and good grief, everybody else too. So here we are, and yeah, look, if that music wakes you up and just makes you feel alive, we can arrange to have that. I can place a call to your wife, Samantha, and say, look, I've got some tunes for the Scout that's going to pop him right out of bed in the morning.
I tell you what, I need all the help I can get. I mean, there's some nights I'm dreaming about these football players, even I'm watching them so much. So, I mean, I need something to kind of get me up and get me going in the morning, and that would be perfect. Hey, by the way, if you go on Google right now and type in Christian Watson, guess who's number 2 on Google News?
I got a feeling that some of your latest some of your latest articles might be spiking the old Google machine with Christian Watson.
Right. I'm helping to control the national narrative and set it straight on Christian Watson. First round draft pick? Nope, I'm sorry.
I got to tell you, let's just start there before we jump into picks 11 through 21 of this week's NFL mock draft on the Dirty Pocket.
By the way, if you mock Christian Watson in any of these picks, we're going to hit the F12 button on you.
Interesting. Yeah, for those folks watching and listening, you should be well aware that we do not show each other our draft picks prior to this. I, of course, follow the Scout and read his articles on Sports Illustrated USA Today. So I got a little bit of an insight into what he's thinking, but he doesn't know with me as much.
Yeah,
and we don't always agree, which is interesting.
What does F12 do, by the way?
I have no idea. I figured you had some clue as to what happened there.
I have no idea. It's the whole reason we came out a little bit later tonight, because I had to reboot my own computer. So I'm not touching anything right now.
Better late than never, man. Yeah, sometimes your technology is voodoo. So before we jump into our picks, Christian Watson, you have some scathing articles, which I want to give you credit, moving off the Trey Lance train of last week. Kind of. I mean, we're 49er fans. We're looking to lynch you. Some of them don't. It's interesting. There are those that agree that actually watch film. But now Christian Watson, who is just skyrocketing up mock draft boards. And I continued. Here's what I want to know, Scout. Is somebody at North Dakota State sending money in a secret offshore account to NFL scouts or something? Like, what's going on in North Dakota State the last few years?
Yeah, it's almost like Alabama all over again, like Alabama 2.0 or something. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you're not going to hear this on any other, podcast or TV show or any other platform in America. So this might be a good time to turn up the volume just a little bit, adjust the volume so your neighbors can hear it on your speakers. Pump up the volume. Yeah, let's face it. I mean, the agents control a lot of these platforms. They do. There is an exchange under the table, paper airplanes carrying large sums of money, plane tickets, who knows what, I don't know. But there's an exchange. And of course, the trade-off is information gets given back, to the platforms during the season. And there's this dance, and of course, credentials are involved, and all these kind of good things with the teams and stuff. But it's just kind of funny, Stacy. I mean, if you look at one mock draft as far as the major platforms are concerned, go check it out, folks. You've just about seen all of them. I mean, we'll give or take a couple picks here or there. Most of these mocks are pretty much a Xerox copy of each other. There is zero accountability as far as game film analysis or games watched. I always document all the games I've watched on these guys, right on my SI, articles. all the rest of these guys are just talking, shooting from the hip, no accountability. Don't know if they watched a moment of film or not. Doesn't seem like it. And, it's funny because, all of a sudden, like you start seeing these trends where these players come out of nowhere, they just shoot right up. I mean, there's just a number of these guys like this I could think of. The Walker guy from Georgia is a classic example. Shooting up. Like a month ago he was in the 20s or something. Now all of a sudden he's shooting up to number 2, number 1. The Christian Watson guy, he comes out of nowhere. Some of these picks just. I think it was last summer. Kenny Pickett was the 67th ranked quarterback. You have to go check this out, folks, on PFF in the country. I don't mean the 67th pick overall. I mean the 67th quarterback ranked by PFF. And all of a sudden he shoots up the ranks, and next thing you know, he's not drinking Gatorade. Yeah, he's not drinking Gatorade. He's walking on it. It's so
That's a bumper sticker, man. I like that. I like that a lot.
Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. That's just off the cuff too. After getting very little sleep, I was up so late last night watching that Penning, that offensive tackle in Northern Iowa, which we'll get into more in a minute here, I think. But
there's a strong possibility of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll save my comments for a second from now. But there really is. I mean, come on. I mean, North Dakota State. I mean, they're playing in the Missouri Valley Football Conference at a subdivision college football ranks. They're playing against Christian Watson's playing against corners and defenses. These guys won't even sniff an NFL tryout, a lot of them, and he's not creating much separation. The 4.36 speed everyone talks about in the combine is not showing up on game film. Go check out my Twitter account at Daniel Kelly Book. Check out my article about Christian Watson today. When you turn on the film, you're not seeing 4.36 speed on the jet sweeps. You're not seeing the handoffs. You're not seeing any yakety yak with the yards after the catch coming out of the breaks, because he can't create that much separation to begin with. This is a guy that is just not special in any capacity whatsoever. Somebody tried to write tonight that, he's got a great work ethic. Well, don't we all? I mean, it's that doesn't warrant a first round, it doesn't warrant a first. It doesn't warrant a first round draft pick. But yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, you and I, talked a little bit about this offline today. Back in the days we grew up, back in the 1700s. So I'm just kidding. But back in the day, guys like this, like Trey Lance and Christian Watson, used to be like, there used to be 12 rounds in the draft. And when you're talking about smaller school developmental guy, it was always, 7th, 8th, 9th, 12th round draft picks, guys that came into the league. Now these guys are considered blue chippers. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it just screams politics to me, because there's nothing elite. If you want to see an elite wide receiver, go watch Garrett Wilson. Go watch Jameson Williams, who can basically, take a top off of defense at Alabama. Go look at Treylon Burks. Go look at somebody like that. This just turn the channel from these guys playing against glorified high school secondaries.
It's I got to tell you, I just feel like there's some kind of strange new developed pipeline between North Dakota State and the National Football League. Like, we're just seeing this more and more. It's like, Christian Watt, did we even know who he was during the college football season? I'm not saying he's a bad guy.
No. And that's the thing too, Stacey, is this is, like I said in my article today, this is nothing against Christian Watson. It's nothing against
a hard worker.
It's nothing against the Missouri Valley Football Conference or the people that he's playing against. It's my issues I point out in the article. It's not what Christian Watson has accomplished at North Dakota State University. It's what these platforms are doing, and these narratives they're trying to push down our throats. These are trusted platforms that fans listen to. They take on these narratives as their own, and it's not correct. It's not correct at all. There's no possible way anybody can look at the 5 games I documented on Sports Illustrated, San Francisco 49ers, and they can walk away and say, oh, yeah, that's a first-round draft pick. There's no way in the world. I ranked them as a 4th to 7th round pick, and it's just like last year. We saw the same thing happen with Trey Lance. I won't get on that soapbox right now.
Oh, God.
But
we got a mock draft.
Right. It's the same type of thing as last year all over again.
Yeah, it's nuts. And look, I mean, you former scout, former front office guy, look, I know you get it. It's just amazing that every year we got to remind the fans, we got to get to that, that this is NFL draft season where everything gets overblown. Okay, let's move to something truly important, which is tonight's beverage, our non-sponsor of the Dirty Pocket, because they don't know us. Bubbly sparkling water. You're making some significant changes in your life.
I really am. I really am. I don't drink enough water as it is. Oh,
Zevia,
okay.
ginger root beer pop. Big fan of this. Big fan of this.
Yeah, I'm becoming a bigger fan of this. I don't drink nearly enough water. I hate water by itself, to be honest with you. There you go, have a sip of it. It's pretty plain to me. I need something with some flavor. I love salad dressings. I love barbecue sauces. I love flavor.
Target sponsors.
Absolutely. And it's hot down here in Key West, Florida. So I need to get some water in my system. So Samantha got me turned on to these flavored waters, and I like cherry. I'm a big cherry fan, but just drinking soda all summer long and thinking I'm drinking something but not getting properly hydrated probably isn't the way to go when I live in a subtropical environment. So, but anyways, back to this for a second. You ready for the official?
Oh no!
Ready for the commercial? The Arsenio Hall moment. The tag.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Give it to us.
Well, you're not feeling bubbly because there's a possibility Trey Lance may be your quarterback next season. Drink bubbly, sparkling water. This will put a smile on your face and make you very bubbly. The official drink of the Dirty Pocket.
You just split the 49er fan base based on bubbly water.
Well, it's, hey, I mean, God parted the Red Sea, right? With and so I parted the 49ers nation using the same type of with the bubbly water. I mean, it's a great time. I mean, we're in the Easter season, so why not go there?
Gotcha. Look, perfect segue. We got bubbly water, we got some ginger root beer, and we got picks 11 through 21 of the Dirty Pocket first and soon to be annual NFL mock draft with the scout Daniel Kelly, writer for Sports Illustrated, Jets, Niners, and Lions.
Yeah.
And USA Today, and good grief, let's do this thing. Okay, so I've got some sound effects. They're not any better than last week. We'll get into that off camera. But we are going to jump right in where we left off last week. You just sip the bubbly and hit us with your scouting report. So let's get into our mock draft. We are live on Twitch. Literally no one watching us, which is kind of the life of a Twitcher when you're starting out. So we'll be working on that. Join us, like, subscribe. This will be featured on YouTube later. Okay, let's jump into this thing, Scout. At pick 11, I feel like this one might be slightly emotional for you. I don't know why I'm saying that. Oh, yes, I do. It happens to be the Washington Commanders. Let's not go down a hole with the name, but we all know how you feel about it as visually seen on your hand. Forever. Full dedication, full fandom. Pick number 11, the Washington Commanders. Card is in hand. We are on our way to the commissioner, Scout Kelly.
Let's go up to the pick is in, Stacey. You're right. Let's go up to Roger Goodell. The pick is in right now. Pick 11, little sound. With the 11th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select tight end Trey McBride, Colorado State.
What? At 11?
At 11.
How do you feel? Okay, two things here. Trey McBride, very talented tight end, very talented. You got to give us two perspectives here. One is the scout. You're making strictly NFL football decisions, and one as a fan, as a lifelong Washington fan. Both perspectives, Trey McBride, number 11. And then we'll get to my choice.
Well, the perspective is one and the same on this one. It's been, since Jordan Reed was a big part of Washington's offense before he had one too many concussions. And you go back to the days of Chris Cooley, and prior to that, you go back to the days when Joe Gibbs was there. They had Don Warren and Clint Didier and guys like that. Having a tight end, I mean, we can see these offenses in the NFL, and you see that, with George Kittle on San Francisco, you see these different offenses, with Kelsey on Kansas City. You see, TJ Hawkinson with Detroit. You can just see what a big time tight end adds to an offense. And so when I look at somebody like a Trey McBride, I'm looking at the possibility of Washington being able to move the ball in a more effective, efficient way, opposed to just looking at the wide receivers out there that have a guy going up the seams. Now, people talk about McBride he comes, he only had one touchdown last year. Okay, let's look at this for a second. Colorado State played a lot, 12 personnel, 2 tight end packages, and the guy still caught 90 passes. Okay, so let's not get carried away here. Trey McBride, I had a chance to sit down with him, interview him for SI, and I really like the guy. I think he adds a lot to a team, and he's a complete tight end. Okay, Stacy, he's a guy that he can catch, he can stretch a defense. He runs the same kind of 40 as TJ Hawkinson does, about a 4.65 in that range from what I remember. And he's a great blocker. A lot of people don't know this, but he talked to me personally about it for my interview with SI, and he said he got to be a really good blocker because it's the only way he could get on the field. And so that's how he kind of started out, and he takes a lot of pride in it. And I think that, it's really kind of a neat thing where you can have a tight end that can stay in and can block a little bit and then like release, how those tight ends kind of release, after that, and they kind of get into the clear, into the flat a little bit. They catch the ball and they can go from there. So I think somebody like Trey McBride would be a great pick for Washington, both as a fan and as a scout. I just think a tight end adds a lot to the party, and I think it's been something Washington has been desperately missing since Jordan Reed has been gone.
I'm not going to argue with any of that. I think you're spot on. By the way, Jordan Reed, what a stud. He's another one of those guys. God, he just got hurt too much. Otherwise, would have just been a stud tight end the last 7-8 years. But, man, at pick 11, you think that's high for a tight end with what's on the board. Let me give you my pick at the podium, and it is quite different than yours. I took a look at the Commander defense, which was atrocious. Don't mention anything about some guy named Chase Young. that defense was bad. They were the 25th scoring defense in the NFL. The world champion Rams were 5th, to give you an idea of the chasm between the two teams. So who did I reach for here at number 11 for the Washington Commanders? I took someone that I know you are not high on, but I think brings some swagger, might be slightly overrated, but I just feel like if he's sitting there, they're going to pull the trigger, and that is Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback, LSU. And I know you are not big on him, as I follow you closely, but I feel like they are going to try to bring some kind of swagger to the edge of that defense, which was just freaking atrocious last year. So you go tight end, I go corner. Wild. What say you on my pick? Well, I see the consternation on your face. Like,
that's a great word for the night. That's our Sesame Street word for the night.
Consternation.
Thank you. I can just see it coming together in the screen. Consternation. Like it just goes faster and faster. But no, it's Stingley, absolutely to your point there, Stacey, has a huge reputation. My issue with Stingley is a few things. Number one, he hasn't had an interception since 2019. Number two, his passes defense have gone downhill each and every year. Number three, he has a bunch of different injuries, chronically injured. Number four, he's got the family history going all the way back to, with Jack Tatum and that whole thing with Stingley back in the day.
Saw him live as a kid.
Right. And so there's some thought there of mine that kind of says that, with all the chronic injuries on top of it, that he could maybe snake bitten as far as he might be a guy that might be injured quite a bit. There's no question that he's a big name. There's no question he has the ability. But that's wow.
You're not in love with it. You're not in
Yeah,
love with it.
Stingley's my 8th rated quarterback on my big board.
Oh, well, then you're going to be happy with some other guys I'm going to bring to the table here tonight. Okay.
But I'll go easy on you. I'll go easy. I'm just a little bit.
I knew you weren't going to like that one.
I'm a little bit more into it. I'm a little bit more into it because it's Washington, and I know that some general manager who's keeping my seat warm is out there going to be taking Stingley, probably pretty high. But I just, and plus he had a big pro day, which I pro days to me are
It's like the underwear Olympics. Yeah.
It's
not game film.
Let's look at the game film. That's
Okay.
But I respect it. We can go on.
Sure. Well, okay. It's my job to keep us moving along here in tonight's NFL mock draft here on the Dirty Pockets. So we are moving on to the 12th drafting position on the board. It is the Minnesota Vikings. As we know, they ripped off our coaching staff, that being the world champion Los Angeles Rams.
Who's our?
That would be the world champion Los Angeles Rams. I'm part of them, at least emotionally.
Okay. You said
I don't know if I made that clear. So
I thought you were trying to include me in that madness.
Oh no. I know how you feel about that. But Kevin O'Connell at the helm. They are marching up to the stage with the card in hand. Scout Kelly, what say you for the Minnesota Vikings at number 12?
Let's go to the commissioner. With the 12th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select quarterback Carson Strong, Nevada.
Blowing my mind tonight, both picks. Wow. You have been high on Carson Strong for the last few months. You and I have talked about this. You think that he jumps. Now, last week you had Malik Willis off the board at number 2 to the Lions. Mm-hmm. Carson Strong, you think at 12, even though they just traded for Carson Wentz. What is this going to be, the Carson room? Oh God, there's all sorts of marketing angles there. Carson Strong. Tell us why.
This is a guy that's a prolific, pro-style quarterback, a big, tall guy that sits in the pocket. He's got a big arm, and he can sit back there and launch the football, which I think that Kevin O'Connell will love. And I just think that Kirk Cousins' days are numbered in Minnesota. I don't think they're happy with what they have behind him. And if they don't make a play for Baker Mayfield somehow, some way to bring him in there and at least get him ready to sit there, because the GM's from Cleveland, let's remember, if they don't do that, I think they have to plan for the future. And Carson Strong is that guy in my mind.
Wow. I'm not going to deny that I actually like Carson Strong too. I think he's actually underrated. You shocked me here for a couple of reasons. The Carson Wentz trade. That was the Commanders, excuse me, not Carson Wentz.
CJ. Hey, Johnny Carson.
To me, they're all the same guy. So our Kirk Cousins, the quarterback, they just signed him to another 1 year, $35 million 1 year.
One year.
Has this guy... Look, he's epic. He has taken this league for more coin than anybody at his play level and his accomplishment level that I have ever seen.
The most overrated player and overpaid player in the National Football League is Kirk Cousins. I've been watching him, Stacey, since he was in Washington. 4th round draft pick, suffered through that, was good at first. Really started developing a reputation for folding like a table under pressure, whether it was in a game situation, the season was on the line. I wrote a letter in 2017 when I was going for the GM's job in Cleveland, begging Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, not to trade for Kirk Cousins. He didn't, thankfully. And then he ends up in Minnesota. And as soon as he signed there, I told, because I'm from Minnesota originally, I told everybody who would listen back in Minnesota, back home, that this guy is the poster child for the Minnesota Vikings. He is a oversell and underdeliver player. He's a guy that's going to have these big expectations, can't produce them. And that's exactly, he has stayed true to form ever since he was in Minnesota. Now O'Connell comes in, re-signs him for another year. The definition of insanity is what? If
Doing
you
the same
always
thing over and over again.
expecting a different result, it's not the answer. Minnesota has to plan for the future. Carson Strong is a big, prolific type of quarterback that can launch the ball downfield. And if this regime in Minnesota's new regime is going to survive, they have to start planning for the future. And that starts with Carson Strong in my mind.
God, I got to tell you, this is my favorite pick so far, maybe the last 2 weeks. You blew my mind. Didn't see it coming. Love that you know Kevin O'Connell that well. He definitely wants to groom his own guy. He just bridge gapped Kirk Cousins.
Right.
Interesting pick, Scout. Okay. Best pick of the night so far early at number 12 to the Minnesota Vikings. My pick was nowhere near as thought out as yours. I think he's sitting there, and I just think that they've got to take it just to shore up what they have there on the offensive line. Ike Ekwonu, the offensive tackle from NC State. I'm not completely sold that he is a tackle. Maybe they kick him inside to play guard. But that was my choice there for the Minnesota Vikings. Love your choice a lot better. Did not think that through. You may be onto something there. Kevin O'Connell's going to want to groom his own 10-year franchise quarterback coming from the Sean McVay coaching tree. Fascinating pick. Absolutely love it. Okay, keeping us moving along to number 13, to the team that everyone loves. Well, nobody loves outside of Houston. The Houston Texans. This is a pick that they got from the Cleveland Browns in that epic trade that we won't go down that rabbit hole. Scout Kelly, what say you on this pick? The card is up to the commissioner.
Let's go live to the commissioner. With the 13th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Cameron Thomas, edge, San Diego State.
I mean, this is a draft that only a scout and a guy that's watched 19 hours of film could love. Cam Thomas from San Diego State at 13.
He
to the
is
Houston
a
Texans.
pocket wrecker.
Wow.
This guy is relentless. This guy is just like they call him the Aiden Hutchinson of the Mountain West. This guy has drawn comparisons to J.J. Watt. This guy is a pocket wrecking guy that comes off the edge. He is going to come at you every single play, from the first play to the last play. He's going to attack you. He's going to test you. He's going to go inside, outside, outside, inside. He's going to spin, twirl, swim. He's got a full arsenal of pass rushing moves. I really like this guy. And when I personally talked to him for SI, he said, listen, I just want to hit somebody. That's my type of guy. This guy is going to be one of the most underrated players in the 2022 NFL Draft, and he is going to take the league by storm. I really like him. I loved him when I watched him on film. I don't love hardly any of these guys whatsoever on film. Most of these guys are just like, oh, really? Another flag football player. But I tell you what, Cam Thomas could, if he's not doing anything this summer, he could tutor Chase Young.
Oh, God. Oh, Commanders, you hear that? Give Cam a call. The scout will put it together. Wow. I got to tell you, interesting pick. I have not seen anyone, to your point, on the national side mock him this high in the draft. You're saying the Texans scouting department is ahead of the curve. Maybe they're sipping on some bubbly. They've seen Cam Thomas.
Hopefully it's this guy bubbly.
They plug and play him in on the defensive side of the ball. Very interesting. I have to tell you, my pick here was a lot less interesting per se, but I think it's semi-interesting. I think the Texans now get a target for their young quarterback now that they have actually committed to Davis Mills. And I think they grab Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State here, which would semi be a shame, except for the fact that he plays opposite Brandon Cooks, who they just re-signed to I believe a 3-year deal. So that would give them a very impressive set of wide receivers from my perspective. But you say they go defense, something they have not had since J.J. Watt. They want to add some sort of a pass rush.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see there. I mean, obviously, we talked last week about Garrett Wilson. I had him mock 7 to the Giants, but I like your train of thought there because you got to do one of two things here, one of three things. You got to either be able to get to the quarterback, you have to be able to throw the football, or you have to be able to stop the throw. So we're thinking along the same wavelengths there. As far as getting impact players, they can plug and play in today's game.
Okay. All right. I like the pick. The Texans are getting better. They've gotten better over their first couple of choices here in this draft. And so, okay, very interesting picks. We move on to pick number 14 in the Dirty Pocket NFL mock draft, picks 11 through 21. And at 14, we have the Baltimore Ravens, widely renowned. You can support or confirm this for us as an excellent scouting department at one time under Ozzie Newsome.
Still is, yeah.
Unbelievable scout. They are marching up the classic Baltimore Ravens. I've got a feeling I might know where you're going, but you've shocked me so far tonight. Who do the Baltimore Ravens take at 14?
Let's go up to the commissioner on one of the cards in right now. With the 14th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select cornerback Kyler Gordon, Washington.
That's not even the top-rated corner from Washington. And I know this because I've got something coming. Whoa. Okay, walk us through this. Why this choice here? Raven scouts are renowned for being excellent. They take a corner that wasn't even, I mean, they've got somebody ranked ahead of him in that defensive backfield on the Huskies. Talk to me.
Yeah. Well, Trent McDuffie is a guy that is more of a zone corner who played in a lot of off-zone looks when Washington. McDuffie did show the ability to play man as well, but not nearly as much. He provided some good cushion there on that side. The corner, the opposite of McDuffie, was Gordon. He is an athletic ball stalker, and Baltimore needs to shore up that cornerback position, which, we're talking about right now. I mean, they were decimated last year with injuries at that position. And like we just talked about in the last pick, you have to be able to get to the quarterback with the pass rush. You have to be able to throw touchdowns in today's game, or you have to be able to stop them. Gordon, to me, is the second best corner. He's number 2 on my big board behind Sauce Gardner. And I really liked what I saw of him. And this guy looks very comfortable making a living on an island. He can shadow the receivers. He moves. He can flip his hips. He can run. He can break on the ball. He's got good instincts, ball skills. He just has another player that's severely underrated in my mind who really caught my attention for Washington.
Okay, so we're looking at that Raven backfield, Jimmy Smith, and then, of course, Marcus Peters, who is coming off a knee injury. You say, nope, we got to get some young blood in there, and they go with a bit of a shocker, and they go for the other corner playing for the Washington Huskies. My thought process and my pick was significantly different. I went with your classic Baltimore Raven choice. They want an edge rusher. He's sitting there. It's too good to be true, especially after they signed Zadarius Smith. And then he says the next day, no, I decided I don't want to play in Baltimore. And then backs out of his signing. They need somebody in the edge. They grab Florida State edge rusher Jermaine Johnson, who they are shocked is still sitting there.
I'm shocked he's even in the first, second, third, or fourth round discussion.
Holy mackerel. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You're right.
But, hey.
Stranger things have happened, right? Stranger things. Okay, the Baltimore Ravens with a couple of shockers. Let's move on to pick number 15.
I still love you, even though you got that crap up on your wall behind you.
That world champion crap, I might add. The one of a couple of picks here for this team. which I find very interesting. I would not be shocked to see if they package those and try to move up for somebody else, particularly at the wide receiver position. But we didn't mock that here. At number 15, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles in one of their picks from the Miami Dolphins.
E-A-G-L-E-S. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Scout Kelly, card in hand, the Philadelphia Eagles, which I feel like they need a whole lot of stuff. What say you?
Let's go up to the commissioner.
Philly people are going crazy.
They're going wild. Getting ready to climb those steps in the city of brotherly love. Let's go to the commissioner, Roger Goodell. With the 15th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select wide receiver Jameson Williams, Alabama.
Oh,
and
God, the
guess
people.
Guess what? We got Alabama 2.0 in Philadelphia.
That's right.
We got Jalen Hurts.
That's right.
We got Devontae Smith.
Oh,
and now we got Williams. And now we have ourselves a passing game. And this is the biggest way Philadelphia can move their meter now.
That's going to be really hard to argue with that. And I think that the fans will be going ape if that happens, despite the injury in the championship game. That's impressive. And again, he's sitting there and people might be a little surprised by that. This is a rich wide receiver draft, right? But
I think four or five deep.
Wow. So you've literally at that point, you're right. It's Alabama East, Northeast.
It's Alabama 2.0. If he's sitting there, he's going to have, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles is going to have Hurts and Smith in his ear being like, hey, let's bring our boy into the fold here. Let's get Williams in here. And I tell you what, you talk about a sports car wide receiver. You talk about a guy who can gaslight defenses and a guy who can take the top off of defense, look no further than Jameson Williams. This is going to be a frightening situation. And this could be something, this could be very significant for them to the point where this could put them in the driver's seat in the NFC East this next season if they get him.
Well, I got to tell you, that's a good pick. You're having a solid draft, Scout Kelly, here tonight.
Thank you.
And the Eagles, I think their fans would absolutely go crazy if this came true. I went a different direction here. I went for that corner in Washington, Trent McDuffie here. I think that's
solid corner. Solid.
Yeah, he's a good corner.
He's a very good corner.
Good points about his zone.
And he's very physical, too. He's very physical. So he would fit into the Eagles as far as that physicality is concerned. I don't take anything away from McDuffie. I like him a lot, in fact.
He's a good player. I feel like they need a corner on the other. They don't have a true number 2. Darius Slay at this point is 31.
Still playing good ball.
Yeah, still playing good ball. But
hey, Detroit, great move by letting him get away.
Yeah, another one of those Lions moves. Another one. That and I don't know if I mentioned they also let another player get away. It was that's right, world champion Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, thanks.
He also,
let's pause for stations to identify yourself. You're listening to Bubbly Radio.
Yeah, so I went defense. I figured that they'd get a corner to go number 2, and Mr. Slay could groom him up. Very nice choice, though, on the wide receiver. Okay, moving along at a nice clip here to number 16. This gets kind of interesting here at 16 with the New Orleans Saints, who have lost the great Drew Brees. Alvin Kamara is having some serious issues with the law after beating man half to death prior to the Pro Bowl. And Jameis Winston, as well as Michael Thomas, might make a return to their starting glory here for the Saints.
And they lost their left tackle.
Oh, that's a good point. Very good point. Might be hinting at something here. But the Saints, this is that pick that comes from the Colts through the Eagles. Scout Kelly, what say you as they march the card up to the podium for the Saints?
I'm dancing. Music's not even starting. Let's go up.
So is Goodell. Goodell's like.
With With the 16th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select left tackle Nicholas Ferrari, Ohio State.
What?
I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but that's the big left tackle from Ohio. No, the Ohio State.
Wow. Okay. You think that because there's several offensive well, okay. This isn't I see where you might be going with this. I see where you might be going. That's interesting. They okay. So they give Jameis Winston at this point I'm assuming left tackle. That's what they lost. They give him his franchise left tackle. Michael Thomas comes back, and they just start to build inside out in New Orleans at this point. Okay.
Well, right. And I went on NFL.com to look at the team needs as far as what they assess the team needs to be. And the reason why I went on NFL.com is because those people that work at that website are talking to league people all the time. I mean, it's kind of like a Cliff Notes, version of what team needs are. And the number one thing on there was offensive linemen, and of course with the tackle position, being a big need. And the left tackle, is a guy who's going to protect the quarterback's blind side. And Petit Ferrari is a guy that's a punishing blocker. Okay, he's a punishing blocker who gives a great effort on the edge. The footwork on any of these guys coming out is not exactly what I want it to be. Any of them. It's not exactly a lateral foot speed. But this guy, he makes up for it by chasing, battling, and fighting. And holy smokes, you don't want to cross this guy's path as a run blocker, because he'll put you in the turf, and he'll put you in the turf hard. And I think it's exactly kind of a guy that kind of sets the tempo on that Saints offensive line that comes in there and really, establishes, to maybe take some of the heat off the quarterback with a little bit better run game. And I really like him. I like him a lot. I give him the highest grade in America. In fact, I really like him. I would take, a matter of fact, on my big board, I got, Ferrari rated above Charles Cross and rated above Evan Neal.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
You're right. You're unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why is because, I think Cross has, he's a technician, but he's a little light in the backside, and I'm worried about him in bull rushing situations. And with Evan Neal at 391 in high school, he's trimmed down to 350. I'm worried about him too with the lateral foot speed, because it's not exactly what I want it to be, even at 351. So, to me, I think the best sure bet, and that's really what the first round is about, is bringing guys that are sure bets for the most part, and just, staying away from guys that are a big roll of the dice. And so that's my guy. And I think that he fits in with that Saints left tackle position and plugs in for the next 7 to 10 years. And, who dat?
I'll tell you what, it's a solid pick. It's a departure.
It's solid. It's not sexy. It's solid.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I personally think that the offensive linemen and wide receivers are the two deepest parts of this draft. So I love offensive line drafts, because you turn around in 5 years and you go, oh God, that was a great draft. Every one of these guys is a starter or in the Pro Bowl. So I could see where you're going with that. It is interesting with these tackles. Didn't see this coming in the top 20. Interesting pick. I think it says something new about the Saints and where they might be going. I went a different direction, Scout. I thought that they would want to give Jameis some kind of weapon, especially Michael Thomas missing a lot of time with high ankle.
Well, that's the other big need that they listed on NFL.com was receiver.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I went for a guy that you have met personally and spent some time with. Right here, I thought they're going to take Treylon Burks if he is sitting there out of Arkansas, the big-bodied wide receiver, give Jameis somebody to hopefully throw to when he's not throwing interceptions. Did I say that out loud?
Hey, go back and watch that Packers tape last year. He was 5 out of 8 with 5 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. So big target from my standpoint. They're going to go with Treylon Burks and give Jameis somebody to throw to outside of Michael Thomas. But I like your pick. You're having a very solid scout-like depth to your choices.
And I love Burks.
This is good.
I love Burks. I mean, I had Burks going number 8 to Atlanta overall. Last week's show. Burks is a guy that looks very shades of Randy Moss on the deep ball. So I mean, he's that would be a very interesting pick if he were to slide to that point for sure.
Be great. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving along. This one, we're going to get interesting. I know you're going to have an opinion on my pick. So the Los Angeles Chargers, that other team in LA, not world champions, they are picking at number 17. Scout Kelly, they have the card in hand. What say you?
I swung home San Diego, by the way.
So do I.
Let's go up to the commissioner. With the 17th pick selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Kenyon Green, offensive guard, Texas A&M.
This is a good pick. You're having a night tonight. That kid's mean, is he not?
He's the meanest and nastiest offensive guard that come into this league since the Colts guy Quentin Nelson, and this guy is a punishing, mean road paving run blocker, and he's a guy that can push people around pretty good in the pass game as well and move around. And the nice thing about him is, he's more of a natural left guard than a right guard, but he does play both positions and can swing out the tackles. He's shown in the past as well. So he's very versatile. Obviously, they got Matt Filer, I believe his last name is pronounced, at left guard on a 3-year deal. He's not going anywhere for a couple of years. But at the other guard spot, at right guard, they got Brendan James, who was a 5th-round draft pick last year that may be sliding into the depth chart to bring in a Kenyon Green. And, he just brings that attitude, and they just continue to build that wall around their franchise quarterback. And, I think that could really set them up very nicely going forward.
God, I love offensive line drafts. They just don't understand how important it is. So I was thinking along the same lines as you. The Chargers let Brian Bulaga go, saving almost $11 million in cap space. So they got a bit of a gap there, as you mentioned, on the right side at guard and at tackle. Absolutely. I went for a guy that I know you absolutely love because you texted me earlier today to send me a video of him in action. I have them picking, another guy, as I mentioned, you love, Trevor Penny.
I'm going to hit F12.
Offensive tackle. Trevor Penny, offensive tackle, Northern Iowa, who seems to be climbing the board a bit. You do not like this pick, is my prediction.
I spent about 3 hours of my life last night that I'm never going to get back watching Trevor Penning play football at Northern Iowa. This guy, I looked at him extensively. I looked at him in 3 games, and I looked at him at the Senior Bowl. The issue with Penning is he's got that size. He's a 6'7", 300 and some odd pounds. He's got those big, long, old arms. He slides out well. When you look at him athletically, there's a lot to like with Penning. The issue with Penning is that, as they say in scouting, he is light in the ass. That's what they say in the scouting rooms. And this guy can get pushed back and driven back into the quarterback's face or put on skates, as we say in scouting. And the issue is that he is an aggressive, nasty, physical, mauling run blocker who pass blocks like a run blocker. And what I mean by that is that he'll slide out, and then what he has a tendency to do, Stacy, and to our listeners, is latch on with those big old arms, and he stops moving his feet, which opens up the back door on the back edge of the pocket, and he's susceptible in the back edge. And he also sometimes, to compensate, will overextend himself, and the pass rusher goes back inside. The issue is he looks out of control as offensive tackle. He looks out of control with the footwork. I think he's more suited as a, 4th, 5th round, 5th round guard type, because the backside. Now he squats 625, which is interesting because he gets moved back. Now here's the problem. Okay, when you're watching Northern Iowa, you're watching again. We go back to that lovely Trey Lance, Christian Watson, Missouri Valley Football Conference, subdivision football conference in college football. And not FBS, but FCS. And you watch this, right? And you watch him basically have everything he can handle at that level. Okay. I mean, go back. I mean, if you're getting ready to draft this guy, go back to North Dakota State, University game. Go back to that game because he gave up 1 sack and 3 pressures against North Dakota. Okay. But the big problem here, the big issue is that when I turned on the Senior Bowl film of Penning, which you said you watched it today, right?
I did.
What did you see? Tell our listeners what you saw.
I'll tell you exactly what I thought. That's all I can give you. I appreciate you sending me the film. I saw a guy that physically kind of reminds me of Andrew Whitworth. Like he's got the long arms, as you mentioned. He looks like he really should be a bit of a mauler. But this is going to be a biased take. I saw exactly what you just described, and I thought to myself, this guy's really almost too tall to play guard. Like I couldn't see them kicking him inside. He does seem to not move as well as I thought he would, even though he looks a bit like an Andrew Whitworth. And all I could think of is the scout's onto something because, my God, if the much shorter and quicker Aaron Donald was in front of this guy, he'd get eaten alive.
Well,
he just get eaten alive. Of course, he eats everybody alive, but this poor guy looked. I was like, yeah, he'll be on roller skates spinning.
Well, that's the issue. That's the issue, Stacy. Is that going back and watching him in the Senior Bowl, going again when you go from the Northern Iowa up the level of competition, up the stairwell a little bit to the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl, those 4 guys that tape I sent you, they were kicking his beep.
It was a new world for him.
They were kicking him bad, okay? He was getting bull rushed. They were spinning off him to the inside, moving him back to the back pocket. They were having their way with him. That one dude from Kansas, he drove him back, and the guy from Ohio State, the Smith guy, I think it was, one of those guys from Ohio State, he drove him back. I forget which one it was because I got too many names in my head right now. But that's a problem. Now when you go, I mean, those are the premier pass rushers in the league. And my concern is they're just going to man up, bull rush, and say, okay, you know what? We're going for a ride. Hang on, like a Danielle Hunter or something like that.
Yeah. No, that's anybody with speed coming off.
Now, to your point, Stacy, I did have the thought that maybe you move him to right tackle where there's a little bit less, a little bit more domestic pass rushers coming off the edge, but still not in the first round. I can't see that. I can't see it. There's been a push for this guy in the first round, so I went back and I looked at him. But this guy to me, I mean, in the NFL we grew up with, this guy is, I mean, if Joe Jacoby is an undrafted free agent, this guy is a
good reference there. Yeah, no, we could talk all night on it. I tend to agree with you. I just see that he's moving up the boards. I like your pick a lot better.
The logic behind what you're picking is spot on.
Yeah, that right tackle is a bit of a hole for the Chargers. Okay, got to move us clipping through these as we've got 4 more teams to choose. Running out of time in this week's mock draft, I should say.
Teams, right? 18, 19, and 20.
18, 19, 20. We're going to go 21. I was going to go 11 to 21.
Okay.
So start thinking about who you think the Patriots might take.
Oh, I already got somebody for them.
Okay. Well, we're going to jump into 18 right now, which is the second pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a pick that they got from the New Orleans Saints. Scout Kelly, the Eagles are having an embarrassment of riches.
G-A-G-L-E-S.
Alabama Northeast, as you say. Who do they pick?
With the 18th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select safety Jalen Petrie, Baylor.
What?
My number 1 safety on the board.
Whoa. You think it goes this high? Okay.
I was
Talk
on a
to
show.
us.
I was on a show tonight for 24/7 Sports on a Baylor, and I did a whole show on Jalen Patriot. I love this guy. This guy's Mister Everything. This guy is a piranha on the football field. This guy is a torpedo on the football field.
Wow.
This guy is a hybrid player. I've never seen quite this type of player in 40 years watching the game. This guy is a safety slash corner slash linebacker that you can't. This is a defensive coordinator's dream type of player. I can see this guy playing for the Eagles because schematically, the reason why he's a dream is because you can do so much to disguise coverages with this guy. He played down in Baylor in the box a lot. This guy loves contact, can come down to the box. He is like a torpedo coming in at the quarterback. This guy can close unlike any. I mean, Kyle Hamilton should be watching the screen taking notes on this guy, okay? Hamilton's a third-round guy that has a foot on the gas and the brakes at the same time. Petrie's a guy that's all out, all in, all the time. Petrie's a guy that can play a pretty mean corner against the slot receivers. He showed it at Baylor. He's not afraid of the run. He can drop. The only thing he needs to do is spend a little bit more time playing single high, deep safety position. He didn't spend a lot of time doing that at Baylor, but this is a guy who's a hybrid player. Deebo Samuel, they came up with a new position for him called wide back. This is the type of guy, like when Micah Parsons came into Dallas, they're going to develop a new position for this guy. Maybe it would be called safe backer or something along those lines, because this guy is an all-world player who is my early pick for Rookie Defensive Player of the Year.
Wow. Big endorsement. That sounds like a guy you described to me a lot last year, the kid from Notre Dame, the linebacker on the Cleveland Browns, who we both thought was all-world, Oroso. Just unbelievable player, Swiss Army knife, plug him in and play. The Eagles did lose Rodney McLeod, I believe. Interesting pick. You and I both go defensive backfield for the Eagles, just as separate picks. Mm-hmm. I still stayed on the defensive side of the ball at this pick for the Eagles. I picked a guy that I really like. I think is solid, just a solid ball player, and that was Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah.
I like Devin a lot. Devin a lot.
Good ball player. You look at that linebacker room for the Eagles. Who scares you? They just signed Kaiser White as a free agent, but the rest of the names: TJ Edwards, Davian Taylor, Sean Bradley, Patrick Johnson. I think the Eagles need to add a linebacker right here where possible, and I like Devin Lloyd. So good choice.
I like Lloyd too. I like Lloyd a lot.
Awesome. Okay. So moving us along as we are running out of time here on the mock draft show. The New Orleans Saints back on the board. This is a pick that got from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Who that could have beat them Saints?
Yeah, isn't that something? I mean, they're really, you sense almost a rebuild, or in the very least, they're creating a new identity there with Breeze and Peyton both gone. So they have the card in hand, Scout. What say you?
Absolutely. Let's go up to the commissioner. With the 19th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select edge rusher Nick Bonito, Oklahoma.
Interesting. Solid and good player, but higher than anyone else is picking him up. You think they go edge here? That's a very Saints pick. It's the Saints or Seahawks pulling these guys up earlier on their draft boards. Okay, what do you like about him in 30 seconds?
I love Nick Bonito, point blank. Micah Parsons 2.0. He's a guy that you can bring in. As a matter of fact, let me rephrase that. Micah Parsons, who doesn't take half the plays off. Okay. Okay. This guy is a big time freelance pass rusher who just sits back, waits for the opening, and strikes like a cobra. This guy shoots right up the gaps. This guy had a lot of pressures for Oklahoma. This guy was all over the field for Oklahoma. And I tell you what, he could be the most underrated player in this draft. I love Nick Bonito. This guy is going to bring heat and pressure. And matter of fact, he's going to make that pass rush in New Orleans. He's going to put some Cajun sauce on that thing. He's going to bring some real heat in that pocket. And it's exactly what the New Orleans Saints need.
Okay. Wow, the Saints and the boy, Dennis Allen, the head coach down there, loves that pick from the scout, a defensive-minded guy, former defensive coordinator. So he likes that. You got to have something coming off the edge. Interesting pick. I went similar here. I did not pick your guy Benito, but because of Malcolm Jenkins suddenly retiring last week or week before last, there is a big gap at center field at the safety position. I went with a guy that I can't wait to hear what you think of this player, Jaquan Brisker, safety, Penn State. And that's not the look of approval. Not a fan of Jaquan Brisker, I take it.
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's
too early.
Yeah, well, I think, let me see, where did I have Brisker here? Let me get up my notes here.
Oh, wow. Very official, very scout-like. Look at that, people.
Absolutely.
Look at this, man.
I don't have it. Absolutely. You should see
Put
my
some
notes.
respect on his name. Look at that.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Brisker is my second-rated safety.
Okay.
Next to Petrie. So from Penn State. So I did like him.
Petrie was off the board, according to you.
So. Yeah. So I like Brisker enough. I think that's a solid pick there. I was just playing with you a little bit.
Yeah, you got to give me the look of disapproval. Keep me humble. I think that they go safety there. That's a wild guess. I went with receiver and safety with those two New Orleans picks.
It works.
Trying to rebuild on both sides of the ball. So, okay, interesting that you go with edge guy. I go with safety for the Saints. Okay, we're moving into
defense. We're tracking.
We are getting into a pick that I'm really excited to share with you. At number 20, we have the renowned Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. They have the card in hand. Scout Kelly, what say you?
With the 20th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select cornerback Kaiir Elam, Florida.
I'm not going to say much, except you're not going to believe what I have to say about that. Okay. Tell us about Kaiir Elam at Florida. Sure. I love him.
I love him too. Changes the complexion of a defense. This guy is a physical, just a guy that gets under the receiver's skin and stays there. He stays in the back pocket of the receiver everywhere he goes. The Steelers need a corner. And this is a guy who really puts a nice addition to that defense that just can take over that side of the field. This guy is a physical football player who can cover. He fits that Steelers mold exactly.
Wow, man, do I love that player. I can't say much right at the moment. I'm just going to say love that pick. And I'm going to first, I'm going to say that you shocked me a little bit with that one. I did not think that you would go there with Kaiir this early.
Well, the trade between Philadelphia and New Orleans really kind of upset my mock draft that I had, for the Jets a couple of weeks ago. So that kicked Devin Lloyd out of my top. I think it was top 20. So it did change things around a little bit because of the needs of the teams and stuff. So yeah, that was a little surprising. That wasn't, that was a surprise I brought into the show.
I love the surprise because I love him, and you'll see why in a second. Mm-hmm. I got a little surprise for you here because I know how much you love Kenny Pickett, and I did not choose him here. The Pittsburgh kid. I did something even more shocking that you will love. At this point, sitting there on my mock draft board at number 20 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, amidst all the terrible things they're undergoing as a team right now, we won't get into that. There sits Matt Corral from Mississippi, a quarterback that they can plug in, who shows athleticism, strength that you had going much earlier in your mock draft. He's long gone on your board. On my board, he's still there.
Yeah, he's gone at 3 with me.
He becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler right there if he's sitting there. He is a Pittsburgh Steeler. So that's
very,
Matt
very
Corral. And all of a sudden, nobody remembers some guy named Big Ben because they've got a fresh, young, athletic, blue-collar, kind of gutsy ball player to take over inside the dirty pocket.
Absolutely. And our condolences to Dwayne Haskins and
yes,
the Haskins family and the Pittsburgh Steelers and everybody going through that right now. It's a real loss to the football community for sure. And it's a life that ended way too soon. Down in my neck of the woods, down in Florida here, it happened.
yep.
So
It's made me sick all week. That's why I'm not talking. It's just so
it was shocking to me. It was really shocking.
Hate it. And of course, you have even different ties, as he was at one point a Redskin. And,
absolutely. Drafted by Bruce Allen, who I interviewed in 2019.
Yeah. So condolences to the Haskins family. And it's going to be a big year of us remembering him for sure.
Absolutely.
But interesting pick. I go with Matt Corral. You go with a guy I loved. That moves us to our last pick, Scout Kelly, which I guess I blindsided you with, but those New England Patriots, Bill Belichick and his crew, they got the card in hand. Who do they go up and pick?
What? With the 21st selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select cornerback Roger McCreary, Auburn.
Snuck him in. I know you've spent some time with him interviewing. Great player. Got to admit, it's kind of surprising he's still sitting there right there. And here's why I didn't want to say anything on your last pick. On my draft board, there is no way a guy with this kind of IQ gets past Bill Belichick. I have them picking Kaiir Elam, cornerback, Florida.
We're real close.
So you and I had the same mindsets right there. Makes me excited that I've got a scout mind here.
Yeah, you do.
McCreary, I mean, wow, what a player. I mean, this is a really good draft at certain positions, at least at this spot in the draft with corners, offensive linemen, receivers.
Yeah, wow. and you know, I have a little unfair advantage here, I have to admit, because I worked with Bill Belichick at the New York Jets. He was our defensive coordinator under Bill Parcells. He loves corners. He has an affinity for corners. And I was out there when Aaron Glenn was a corner with the Jets, and he loves great corners, smart corners. You know, Otis Smith was probably the smartest corner I think he said he ever worked with, you know, up at the New England Patriots. And Roger McCreary is a guy who's going to be a rookie who looks light years ahead of his time. He has a lot of wisdom for the position. And what I mean by that is he doesn't have the greatest hips as far as changing direction, but he makes up for it and compensates for it by having the ability to break on the ball. He plays like a veteran coming out of college. Belichick is going to love this guy. And I've just seen him in New England from the word go, really. I think that, you know, I think it's a guy that, you know, especially with the loss of Jackson to the J.C. Jackson to the Chargers, I think this is a guy that, you know, McCreary, he can just plug right in and play and really not miss a beat. And you're not going to be able to miss a beat in that division either, with the likes of Tyreek Hill now playing for the Miami Dolphins. The very real possibility of Deebo Samuel playing with the New York Jets, who I talked about in SI Jets, and also, of course, Stephon Diggs with Buffalo. So McCreary comes in. He's a guy that just from day one plugs in and plays. And he's like I said, a very mature corner that's way beyond his years coming in as a rookie.
Love it, man. Good pick. I think that there's some really solid picks. I kind of expect the Patriots to be somewhat active in this draft somehow. They seem to be in that weird spot. The AFC East is getting better. The Bills are the power there right now. The Dolphins are putting together a U.S. Olympic track team. And you've got the Jets who are, you want to believe they're going to eke out something out of this draft. So I expect the Patriots to be, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, active in this draft. So excellent pick, Scout.
Yeah, thank you.
That wraps the Dirty Pocket picks 11 through 21 of the 2022 mock draft. Let's get a commitment right now. Do we do 22 to 32 next week?
Absolutely, we do.
Okay, sure. That's it. We've locked in, people. Join us on Twitch. Find the podcast on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. We're mouthy and sarcastic. You can find us anywhere. But Mr. Kelly, you are a busy man, so thanks for being my partner in crime. If you're looking for the Scout, you don't have to look far. Just Google him. But He is a writer, as we mentioned multiple times a show, in shameless plugs, Sports Illustrated for the Jets, Lions, 49ers, and he's doing some work for USA Today in the college football world and some other projects. You can find me, Stacey Bauman, at gridironicon.com. I have a really fun interview coming this week. Last week was Michael Montgomery of the Packers. This week is someone that I idolized as a kid, Scout. I haven't even told you yet. Preston Denard, wide receiver, Los Angeles Rams. I know you appreciate that as an old-time fan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's where you can find us, folks. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching on Twitch, follow us as well. Like, subscribe on YouTube. And the Scout and I will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Any parting shots?
Yeah, happy 6th wedding anniversary to Samantha. It's our wedding anniversary is coming up on Saturday. And I mean, anybody could tell you whether it's Parcells, Belichick, any of those guys, Dungy, any of those guys could tell you I'm not the easiest person to get along with. So Samantha's done it 6 years. So congratulations to her for sticking it out. And so that's coming up here on the 16th for us. So that's my parting shot is because they say behind every great scout is even a greater woman. And that's definitely the case here because I couldn't do it without her love and support.
Love it, man. Yeah, the only people who might love you more than your beautiful wife are several thousand people on Twitter who love and support you on a daily basis. So
they certainly do. I tell you what, I don't know what I would do without my Twitter fan base. Those people, they really do love me. So thank you for all the love and support you show me too. And on Twitter, it's special.
All right, folks. Thanks for sticking with us for a long episode. Happy anniversary to the Scout and the lovely Samantha. And we will see you next week.
Sounds good. Take care.